Whoa! No, I'm just messing with you. Just messing with you. Yo, what is going on, you guys? It's your boy King Sanders here. We are back with another day of sports betting. This is going to be for Monday, February 13th slate of NBA action. Beautiful slate on. We have 22 teams in action today, 11 games on the slate. Should be a very good day for basketball. I found a couple spots that I really did like the value in these ones, so hopefully we can go ahead and capitalize on that, but we do have a lot to cover in this one. We do actually have a new segment here coming for you. It's something that I thought of based off of another idea, which we will get into a little bit later in the video. But before we go ahead and do that, we got a lot to cover. First things first, we are still on the road to 12,000, so if you guys are new, make sure that you guys do like, comment, subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you guys know whenever I post. Next, I did just want to go ahead and give a quick shout out here to all of our members here on the channel. Thank you guys so much for everything that you guys do. And thank you guys so much for giving such a small channel such a big chance, as I always say. It truly does mean the absolute world to me. So much more than you guys will ever know. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into a quick recap from yesterday. We did have a 1-0 day. I would have threw on the shades, threw on the sunnies, but realistically, we did only have one play. I mean, I'm not gonna get too excited over that. So we're not throwing the sunnies on today. But hopefully we can throw them on tomorrow, because we do have 3 plays in this NBA slate, and we have our consensus play, which did end up hitting yesterday. We had the Boston Celtics -4. So I did put I put my one play and my consensus. I put it in a YouTube short. So hopefully you guys were able to catch that one. But regardless, we ended up going 1-0 on our plays yesterday, so without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into today's plays. So for our first official play of the day, we are going to be taking Colin Sexton over 25.5 PRAs here versus Indiana at -110 odds. Now, if you take a look at it, Mike Conley is no longer in the rotation, and Sexton is going to be in that starting position at that starting point guard position. So I really do like Colin Sexton here, especially when it comes to just a more dynamic role just in general. He's seen 30-plus minutes in 3 straight games so far, and in his last 9 games with 30-plus minutes, he's 5-4 to this line with 2 hooks. So he's very close to 7-2 in his last 9, so I'll definitely take that. I think that is a pretty good margin there. And in the last 3 games, he's had 22, 33, and 32 PRAs. So he's had 30-plus in 2 of them. And in the one that he didn't was against New York. New York's obviously a pretty good defense, but the other 2 defenses that he ended up hitting the over on, Minnesota and Toronto, 2 also very good defenses. So he has been very successful here over his last 3 games. He's been very good, and I think that we do see another big night here from him. Also, Indiana is 8th in pace, and Indiana allows the 9th most points per game to opposing teams, and they're 22nd in defensive efficiency. So they are not nearly as great of a defensive team as these other 2 teams that he has seen in the past. So I do think that Colin Sexton does end up coming up big, having a big night here for us. So hopefully he can get it done here for us. So that is going to be our first official play of the day. Colin Sexton over 25.5 PRAs here versus Indiana at -110 odds. Now, for our second official play of the day, we're going to be going to the Pelicans and the Thunder game, and we're going to be taking the over 237 at -110 odds. Now, I like this for a couple different reasons. These are 2 of the best over teams in all of basketball. OKC is 33-22 to the over on the year. The Pelicans are 32-25. So if you're going to be just taking their overs, you're going to be more profitable more often than not. OKC is also 18-9 to the over at home, which ranks first in the NBA when it comes to over at home. So they've been really solid here to the over, especially at home. The Pelicans, funny enough, 18-9 also to the over on the road, which is the 3rd best in all of basketball. So I do think that this speaks a lot of volume. Both these teams are very good in these positions when it comes to scoring a lot of points, and I think this is a good spot. The Thunder are 3rd in points per game, one of the best offenses in all of basketball. They average 4.2 more at home. So that is a pretty drastic jump there. They're averaging 4 more points per game at home. And the Pelicans, they are 11th in points per game. So they are just outside that top 10. But in the last 3 games, they are averaging 4.4 more in the last 3. So they've been much better here over the course of the last 3 games, and I don't expect that to change. OKC is also 21st in points allowed. They are in the bottom 10 when it comes to defense. And in the last 3 games, they have given up a ton of points. They've given up 129 to Portland, 130 to the Lakers, and 141 to the Warriors. They've been giving up a ton of points here recently, and the Pelicans are a good enough offense to generate a lot of points as well. So I really do like this one here. The Pelicans are 16th in points allowed, but they average 7.2 more on the road. They give up a ton more points on the road. And I think that we see a very similar situation to this. I know that SGA's line is at like 31.5, and I don't mind that, to be completely honest. But I just like the over for the game better. So that is going to be our second official play of the day. Pelicans and the Thunder over 237 at minus 110 odds. Now for our third and final official play of the day, we are taking Anthony Edwards over 4.5 assists here versus Dallas at plus 105 odds. Now Anthony Edwards has gone over in 9 out of his last 11 games, so he has been pretty solid here to this line. Definitely pretty good. And in the last 2 games that he did go under, he only played a total of 21 and 31 minutes, which he normally does see like 33 to 40-ish. So he has a pretty big workload, especially for this Minnesota team. And now that D'Angelo Russell is gone, Anthony Edwards is far and away the best player on this roster, so he should be getting a lot of that defensive focus, a lot of the defensive attention, and he should be able to take control of it for sure. He has only gone over 20 points in 2 of his last 5 games, so he has been struggling a little bit on the offensive side of things, so maybe he does end up passing this one just a little bit more. And in the last 2 matchups here versus Dallas, he's gotten 5 and 9 assists. So he almost had double-digit assists in one of the more recent games here versus Dallas. So I really do think it's a pretty good spot. I think he does have a little bit more of a playmaker role. I know they brought in Mike Conley, but he really hasn't been playing that many minutes. So I think that Anthony Edwards is that guy. I think he is going to be able to get things done. Should have a lot of the defensive focus on him to be able to kick out to some of the rest of the players. There's not a whole lot of offensive weapons right now for Minnesota, especially since Karl-Anthony Towns is still out and D'Angelo Russell just got traded. So I think that this is a pretty good spot, though. I think that Anthony Edwards can get it done here for us. So that's our third and final play of the day. Anthony Edwards over 4.5 assists here versus Dallas at plus 105 odds. Now, for our consensus play of the day, we are going to the Nuggets and the Heat game. Currently, the Heat are 2-point favorites. So from left to right, we do have Brady. Brady is going to be taking the Nuggets. We do have Mitch. Mitch is also going to be taking the Nuggets. We have Ryan. Ryan is going to be taking the Nuggets. Seth is going to be taking the Heat. And personally, for me, I'm going to be riding with the Nuggets as well. I know that Jamal Murray is listed as questionable right now, and so is Aaron Gordon. But I can't say that I think that they're going to play, but the Heat injury report is huge. It's absolutely massive. If you go look it up, like 3/4 of their roster is listed as questionable right now. So I just think that, unfortunately, the injury bug has hit both of these teams, and if Jokic is still playing, I think that he's good enough to do it. Michael Porter Jr. plays really good in those situations too, so if you're looking for another prop, I think MPJ's over in points is going to be a good one too. But that is going to be the official play. Nuggets +2, 4 cappers to 1 on the Nuggets. So hopefully that one ends up working out for us. Now we are here for our new segment here on the channel, and it is going to be Imperialism here for sports betting. Now, I know you guys have probably absolutely no idea what I'm talking about, so let me just go ahead and show you. All right, so you guys are going to be able to see it up here on screen right now, but it should be a map of the NBA, and every team is going to be in its current state. Now, how this is going to work is essentially what we are going to do is we are going to see which team is going to be able to conquer every other state in the United States and be able to take the crown of being the biggest profitable team when it comes to against the spread betting. So the way that it is going to work when it comes to the rules, every team does end up starting in their home state. From there, I will be spinning 2 wheels. The first one is going to be of all the teams that are going to be playing in the NBA tonight. So, for example, for tonight, there's going to be a wheel of 22 teams. Then I am going to also spin, so I'm going to land on something. I'm not sure what it'll end up being, obviously, but let's say, for example, I ended up landing on the Chicago Bulls, my favorite team. So if we were to land on the Chicago Bulls, I would then spin a second wheel. The second team will determine what territory we are trying to conquer. So if you take a look at all these states that are going to be bordering the Chicago Bulls, we have the Indiana Pacers, we have the Milwaukee Bucks, and then we have some empty states here as well. So basically what is going to happen is I would bet on the spread of the Chicago Bulls, whoever they are playing tonight, then take a look at what territory it is going to be conquering. So, for example, let's say we were to land on the Indiana Pacers for tonight. Then if the Indiana Pacers were to be playing, then I would take their spread as well. If the Bulls ended up covering and the Pacers did not end up covering, then the Bulls would then conquer the Indiana Pacers territory. If the Bulls didn't cover and the Indiana Pacers covered, then vice versa. The Pacers would then take over the Chicago Bulls. Now, if we were to land on a state like Kentucky that didn't have an NBA team and was just blank currently and had no way of actually, competing in this, then essentially what we would do is if the Bulls ended up covering in whatever game they were playing, they would then conquer this territory. If the Bulls didn't end up covering, then what would happen is it would be as if nothing happened. So the Chicago Bulls would just stay in Illinois, and it would be the same as if nothing were to happen. And let's say, for example, if I did spin and got the Bulls and they were going up against the Pacers, our second wheel landed on the Pacers, and the Pacers were not playing in that game, then it would ultimately come down to what the Chicago Bulls end up doing. If the Chicago Bulls ended up covering in that game, they would still conquer the spot of the Indiana Pacers. If they didn't end up covering, however, it would be the same as if it was a wash. However, it is okay to lose one time. Let's use that exact example again. If the Bulls were to cover and the Indiana Pacers were to not cover, then the Pacers would go off to the side. The Pacers would then still get put into the next wheel, and if they ended up getting landed on, they would have a spot of redemption. If they ended up covering in that exact spot of redemption, then they would be placed back here in Indiana. So it does sound a little bit confusing. I completely understand. But I think it's going to make a lot more sense once we actually end up doing it. Long story short, we're going to spin a wheel to see what team is going to be the focal point. We are then going to spin to see what territory they're going to try to be conquering. Then we are going to take the spread of that team. If it lands on a team that is already there, we will also take their spread and see who ends up coming out on top. And then, of course, one very important rule. For every team that ends up conquering another team, they will get half a point added to their current line as an alternate spread. So, for example, if the Bulls were 6-point favorites, they had already conquered two teams, then they would get 1 full point for their next spread when it comes to whatever their next thing is. I feel like it is going to be a rewarding thing to be able to actually conquer some of these other territories and bring them across. So, I'm excited about this, but let's go ahead and dive into it. I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. Also, before we go ahead and dive into this was not originally my idea. When it comes to the actual imperialism things, I had saw it on YouTube when it comes to like 2K and Madden stuff. I saw it from guys like Frosty for 2K, and then I saw it from Bengal for NFL. So I'm not saying that this was 100% original, but I haven't seen anybody do it with sports betting. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a try. We'll have to see how it turns out though. All right, and here we go for the first official wheel spin. You guys can see that all 22 teams that are going to be playing today are up here on the wheel. So let's go ahead and see what we end up getting so we can kind of explain it just a little bit better as well. So we end up on the Magic. So as of right now, as you guys can see here up here on the screen, the Bulls are going up against the Orlando Magic. So as of right now, the Magic are going to be taking that +5 spread. So as you guys can see up here on the screen, the three territories that are going to be very close to that Orlando and bordering them is going to be Miami, it is going to be Atlanta, and it is also going to be Alabama. So it could potentially be our first rivalry that we do end up having. It could even be an in-state rivalry, but we could also have them versus the Hawks, and we could also have our first free spot here. So there's a bunch of different options. So let's see what we get. All right, so you guys see it up here on the screen. We got the Hawks, we got Alabama, and we do have Miami. So we got a couple good things here. Let's see what we end up having. Looks like we are going to be getting the Atlanta Hawks. And the Atlanta Hawks, as you guys can see up here on the screen, are going up against the Charlotte Hornets. So now essentially what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking the Orlando Magic, taking their spread +5 versus my Chicago Bulls, and I'm also going to be taking the Atlanta Hawks -5.5 here versus the Charlotte Hornets. If one team ends up covering and the other team doesn't, then that team will conquer both territories. If neither team covers or both teams cover, it'll be like it's a complete wash. So we have some really good stuff here going. We don't have to worry about one team playing and the other team not. Both of these teams are going to be playing as of tomorrow. So it's going to be coming down to the wire. We're going to see our first territory conquered, and I thought that this was just a really fun idea. I thought it was something that we could definitely use to spice up the channel here a little bit, and I think it'll be fun. I think it's a good concept as well. So that is going to do it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you guys do like, comment, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you guys know whenever I post. Let me know, what team do you guys want to see come out? What team is your favorite team? Let me know what team from the Imperialism thing is going to end up working out for us. But without any further ado, that's going to do it for me. This is King Standard signing out. Peace.